It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
And a fine Saturday matinee to you, gentlemen.
Good morning, good morning.
Steve?
Good morning. I'm outdoor casting today.
Hey.
Oh, so jealous.
Beautiful weather here.
Oh, I'm really jealous. It's like 40 degrees and kind of gloomy. It's rained all night.
Well, that's where you live. That's what it does there, right?
But it smells good, and there's life in the ground. For you guys, it's just carnage and desert.
Right. It's Fury Road down here.
Yes.
What's new in your movie lives?
It's been a good week of movie watching, I would say. You know,
I have been watching your Letterboxd, and what did you not work this week?
It's on the Ben Lott train of I just watch movies all week long. I'm amazed by those guys. I'm like,
where does the time go? How do you?
I don't know.
Give me the highlights, Andy.
Well, I don't know if it's even something I want to talk about, but I watched Tower, the really interesting documentary that I loved. It was just such unfortunate timing. I actually watched Miss Sloane and Tower on the same day. Both really interesting stories that have a certain theme. And then when I finished Tower, I turned on the news, and it was just the horrifying news. It was like, that was the weirdest, confluence of cinema going I've had, the way that it had timed itself with the real world. But the documentary Tower is really a stunning documentary. It's done in kind of rotoscope animation with some real interviews, recreating and kind of telling the story of the sniper at the University of University of Austin in Texas, where he was back in 1966.
When he was just shooting down on not the quad. I don't remember what do they call that?
The big court,
the big
courtyard area.
Yeah, courtyard thing. Yeah.
Really powerful documentary, really interesting, and just like I said, the timing was just kind of made me sick to my stomach, actually. But so that kicked off my week, and then last night I finished it up with watching Richard Linklater's Everybody Wants Some, which I have to say, I heard a lot of people say they liked it, and I watched it. I'm like, this is really, where is this going? It was one of the most pointless movies I've seen. It wasn't boring, but it was just so pointless. I don't know if you guys watched it, but man.
No, I didn't, and mostly because the trailer gave me absolutely zero to look forward to.
Well, I should have listened to my heart, because that's what the trailer did for me too. But it just got such great reviews that I'm like, well, I guess I'll watch it because maybe I didn't get it from the trailer. Nope, it pretty much was the trailer, just 2 hours long.
I'm sorry, man.
What are you gonna do?
Sorry. I had kind of a similar week, weirdly. So I just finished watching Grand Piano, which was a fantastic. I really enjoyed my experience with Grand Piano. Have you guys seen it?
I've only heard the music, which I love.
Well, the music is lovely, except for the final piece. It's I know we spoil movies, but I don't want to spoil you guys.
No, yeah, don't spoil it.
You really should see this movie. It's very clever. It's very clever, and it's a very small. It's a small movie. It's a compressed movie, but let's just say it is related to Las Vegas in a similar inciting incident, and I finished Grand Piano, and then. There we go. Turn on the news, and that's what I heard. And so I immediately followed that up with Bad Moms.
Sort of a palate cleanser? Was that what that was?
That's exactly what that was, Steve. That's exactly what that was. And I'm going to tell you, because of the emotional state I was in, I imagine, I actually really enjoyed that movie. I thought it was quite, it was funny. It wasn't as over the top as something like Girls' Night, but it was great. They were charming and funny and crass and I think what's interesting about that movie that it gets right is the relationship between the kids and the aspirational nature of wanting the best for your kids and how crazy that can make you as a parent. And Mila Kunis was fantastic, and she comes off like an adult person, which I have a hard time seeing her as sometimes. And so
because she's not an adult. What Why? You
Well, no,
because
I
of
mean,
that
you know, I
70s
spent
show?
so.
Is that
It's because of that '70s show. Like
yeah.
she's stuck in that '70s show, and for me, and even a movie like Ted, like I just she never kind of crossed that and Jupiter Ascending, and like she's never really crossed the line
to like
for me.
serious
And
adult roles. That's
and here she is in a not serious yet adult role, and I thought it was really quite lovely. So it was great, and so. You know, I mean, it ended up as a 3.5 star, but it was a great palate cleanser. So I ended the week all right.
okay. I've been spending more time on TV, I think, just because I've been struggling to find something that I can. So I'm looking for that palate cleanser, and I've just been thrilled with the second season of The Good Place. I think they've done a tremendous job of taking that concept and reinventing it for the second season. So I've just been, it's ridiculous and fun and silly, and the writers are just coming up with some great jokes there. So that's where I've been living. I've been living in The Good Place this week.
And Kristen, I've heard such good things about that show, and Kristen Bell is so funny. And in fact, it's interesting because she totally steals Bad Moms as just off the wall, but really understated off the wall. Like she's the goofy one in the background. Did you guys see the testimony? It was like the Federal Reserve testimony, I think. That's been floating around YouTube because it contains the best troll ever.
The Mr. Whatever Moneybags from
like
Monopoly
the
guy.
Monopoly guy.
I've
Have
not.
you seen this? It's this. It's the standard sort of Senate kind of testimony camera.
This is the C-SPAN camera.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's a close up on the guy who's testifying,
sure.
And in the background is a guy with a Monopoly mustache and a top hat on, like in
And
the
the
audience,
monocle,
peering over the
monocle
shoulder, and then halfway through he puts a monocle on and he's twisting his mustache, and that's it. That's all he's doing. It is the best troll I have ever seen. And it's floating around. It's really great. You got to check it out. I never want to know who the guy is. I don't know what the story is. It's just great. But anyway, that's what I think of when I think of Kristen Bell in Bad Mom. She's great.
So funny.
But it's also fall TV is back. Like, you know, so there's a lot to start catching up on.
There's so much good TV coming it's a challenge to keep up with everything. And I think what's interesting is last year we had a lot of good shows that started, and I think there was sort of a wait and see of what's going to happen. So there's a long gap between the next season. Like I'm really waiting for like the second season of Westworld and Legion, and I've got to wait till 2019 for those.
Wow. That's a wait.
Yes, it is.
I did check out The Gifted, speaking of the cinematic universe. Yeah, Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it's a really interesting premise because it takes place in a universe where the X-Men were, but aren't anymore. And yet there are still mutants that are living as sort of renegades, and they have all kinds of wacky powers, and they live underground. And you can tell it's a lower budget show because they do have Sentinels, but they're not Sentinel giant robots. They're the Sentinel Service, which is like a police force, it's like the Secret Service, but they're the Sentinel Service, and so it's kind of funny, you know.
See, I got that mixed up in my head with the Hulu Marvel's Runaways because it's another like teen focused one. So that's like there's all that Marvel has all these properties just hitting all over the place. So I've heard great things about Runaways. I think the trailer just dropped, like within the past day. I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but I've heard great things about that as well in terms of I find it interesting now you've got Marvel on network TV, on Netflix, and now Hulu. They're just
everywhere.
Right.
They're dominating the media.
They are
space.
everywhere.
Yes.
But you haven't seen anything else?
Well, if I talk about a movie, then it's going to get us into our lists, sort of. Because
somebody did homework.
Well, Pete, you talked about what happened on Monday a couple weeks ago or whatever, and so I watched that because I thought, okay, and it was going to tie into our list, and it's an interesting film, and I enjoyed the beginning of it more than the end of it, I think. But it's
I knew that's what you were going to, I knew you were going to say that, because I imagine when you watch movies, the movie starts because you really are an optimist at heart, right? I know you want to love
Yes.
movies. And so
No, I start
have
things
this
thinking, I'm
image
just
of,
going to
like,
hate this from the beginning.
No, no, you're not, because this is it. For me, it's very much it's Steve Sarmento versus the world. When you look at a movie, you're watching a movie, and underneath there's like a fuel gauge, and it's 5 stars. And as you're watching the movie, the fuel gauge is slowly but surely decreasing, and you landed at 3 stars, and I could just watch. I hear the little ding, when a star goes away. That's how I imagine you watch movies.
Yeah, hilarious.
And these are your stars to lose. These are your stars to lose, movie. Yeah. Say hello to your mother for me. Yeah. So I saw your Letterboxd review. You landed at what, 3 stars?
So. Yeah.
I'm supremely disappointed.
Well, now, as I recall, you said you really enjoyed it, but had a feeling that when you went back to watch it the second time, it was going to drop.
And I haven't yet. I haven't watched it yet. So right now, this may be a temporary.
So you've got stars like, well, I'm going to just pretend these stars are here because I know it doesn't really deserve it, but I'm just going to be oblivious to my own feelings about this film and pretend that I don't know that I'm going to pretend it's not a flawed film. I'm going to live in this illusion where it is this much better film than it is.
No, Steve, you totally misunderstand how I watch movies. Okay. I watch movies with the little gauge, and there's always a bonus gauge that's the Steve hated this movie, so I'm going to give it an extra star.
He was preemptively absorbing your stars as you lost them.
I was.
In the past.
I think what happened is you used up all your stars on that should have been on the Kingsman too, I think is what happened. You
Don't
have an allocation of stars. It's like,
this.
oh no, I used up these stars here. I can't give them to this movie. So
it's all we get for the year.
My monthly-
by the time October hits, I'm in a tough state. I'm sorry, Blade Runner. I haven't even seen you yet, but I guarantee you're not going to get over a half star. I'm out.
No more stars.
Catch me in January. Yeah. Should we talk about trailers?
Sure.
Yes.
I'm really excited about my trailer, which is The Square, which is a new film by we've talked about the director on the show, Ruben Östlund, who did Force Majeure, which we had as a listener's choice with our friends over the seas. It was a really interesting film to watch. Watching the trailer for The Square, I don't know if I would have pegged this as the same filmmaker, because this is just, it looks like off the wall, wacky, really strange. Like I couldn't quite put my finger on what they were doing with this, but it was so fascinating. I had such an interesting time watching this trailer. It was just it was fun. It was crazy. It was energetic. The cast looks really interesting. It almost looked like an episode of Black Mirror without kind of the sci-fi element. It's just kind of this funky, different look at our society and kind of satirizing art and the way people, get what they need and stuff. I don't know. I really couldn't quite understand everything that was going on here, but it just completely fascinated me. It has Elizabeth Moss in it, Dominic West. It's an interesting cast of people in a film that looks really intriguing. And it won the Palme d'Or, I guess, at Cannes this past year, and it's just been getting a lot of good buzz. I just can't get over though the guy who, I'm not even sure. I think it must be some form of art, performance art. It looks like a kind of a bodybuilder guy who weirdly has like the face of Jim Carrey, who's got like weird, like, I don't know, claw things on his arms that he's walking around like this fancy dinner and just like being a monkey or something. I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on, but I had so much fun watching this trailer that that's my pick. What do you guys think of this one?
Oh my God, I was in stitches. I thought it was great. It was really funny. And it's surprisingly funny. Like I'm with you. It was like overtly funny in a lot of places in ways that Ruben Östlund, I don't know Ruben Östlund as being such an overtly funny director. The stuff that I think we found funny in Force Majeure was not funny because it was overtly funny. It was like hard to like, oh my God, that's so real. Oh my God, I can't watch that. It's funny. I'm laughing because it hurts, kind of thing. And this was definitely not that. I think the guy playing the monkey was Terry Notary, who did a bunch of motion capture for I think for like Kong Skull Island. I think he actually is a monkey, and a motion capture monkey. And
he's a monkey.
He is a monkey. and I think that was pretty cool. Like,
he was Rocket.
It was pretty neat.
Rocket in the Planet of the Apes, or both of them.
Oh,
and he was also Kong in Kong Skull Island.
In Skull Island, right? So, let's just say he's a legit monkey. Like he's got the resume to prove it. And when he slaps the glass out of that guy's mouth at the end of the movie, that was it for me. That was so funny. I have a weird thing with Elizabeth Moss. Like she's big into Scientology, and I have, fine, but she's chosen to like the weirdest circumstances to really get into it with people on like Instagram and things like. I find that really distasteful. She's become a weird advocate, and so every time I look at her, I think, ugh. I'm exhausted by Elizabeth Moss, and it's a bummer because I think she's supremely talented. Like she's very talented, but she exhausts me.
But she's an actress, and she should learn her place. Is that what you're saying, Pete?
Man, did that not go the direction I expected it to
That's
go.
what it sounds like you're saying.
I assure you, I am not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, as a public figure, you got to be careful about the fights you pick with your fans.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that is true.
That's what I'm saying.
No, that's fine.
So, there you go, Steve. I'm sorry. I clearly made this about politics.
No, it's interesting because I have not seen Force Majeure because I listened to the review and I have to be I feel the right frame of mind for that type of film. And so I'm just waiting for when I have the right time, because it is a lengthy film and just when I'm ready to take on that. But watching the trailer for The Square, it reminds me, I think just tonally, it's reminding me of The Lobster, where you've got filmmakers from abroad using, American actors to tell these just really quirky, odd stories. And I'm so glad they're out there. I'm so glad there's a place for films like these, and that it's attracting A-list talent that will hopefully get people to try something new, to try something that's really sort of out there on the fringe, rather than just so much of the sort of banal, typical Hollywood fare that everybody complains about, that is just giving us more of the same old. So I'm really intrigued by this and hope it finds its audience and hope that people give this a try, because it looks really interesting. And I think maybe one of those nice conversation pieces where people watch the movie and then discuss afterward. It's not like they just go sit in the movie theater in the dark next to one another and then leave and then just go on with their lives. But afterwards they sit down and say, hey, this had some interesting things to say. And how do you feel about that? Or what do you think about that? So I'm hopeful for films like this.
Yeah, me too. That lobster comparison is good.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great comparison. I'm surprised A24 isn't releasing this.
Yes. Who is releasing? It's probably Magnet. Second string A24.
Oh.
Let's see. It's being.
I love you, Magnet.
Looks like Magnolia Pictures, just so you know.
Oh, there you go. You know what? Third string A24.
Oh.
Jeez. This is actually, it premiered at Cannes, and then it's been kind of slowly opening around the world since then. Our friends in Sweden got it August 25th. We're one of the last places to get it. It's going to have a limited release here, October 27th. And just behind us, it's Argentina, the Netherlands, Spain, Denmark, Portugal, and the UK. UK doesn't get it till March 16th next year. So they are definitely the ones in last place as far as getting this. They've got to wait a heck of a long time.
Brexit.
But it's making its way out and around the world. Hey, last little note about Terry No Terry. Did you see that he's playing Teen Groot?
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, he'll be
awesome.
Teen Groot in the next two Avengers movies. So
I did not see that. That's awesome.
Excellent.
Steve, what's your trailer?
I've got an A24 film, Andy, so take that.
woohoo!
And it also premiered at that fancy French film festival. And it's also on a weird release schedule. It's what I see is it's coming out in Japan on December 1st. And
What?
I'm still waiting. I'm like, when does it hit the United States? I don't know. But what I'm talking about is a really quirky movie called How to Talk to Girls at Parties, which has Nicole Kidman and Elle Fanning and is based on a very short Neil Gaiman short story about some teenagers in the punk rock teenagers in the 70s that run into or find themselves at a party that's not the party they thought they were at. And there's some cute girls there who happen to be apparently not locals. They're very odd teenage girls. And so it looks like a little teen romantic comedy set in the 70s with aliens, I think. That's what I'm bringing to the table today.
What I love about this is it's basically The World's End if the aliens invaded when they were still teens rather than when they turned 40. It's like, he even has like the same little speech. We just want to have fun, have a good time.
That's so funny. I thought the same thing, but with Footloose. It's like Footloose with aliens. We just want to dance.
Oh,
that's fantastic.
I loved this trailer. I can't wait to see it. It's one of these, another quirky little sci-fi film that has such a nice vibe to it. And I have to say, John Cameron Mitchell, I really just am not in the fan of Hedwig and the Angry Inch like many people are. Really just did not like that at all and have avoided pretty much everything else he's done. But after watching this trailer and knowing that it's A24, I'm like, well, I guess I'll give him another chance because this just looks really good.
I'm with you. I think it looks really, I think it just looks funny enough. Funny enough, and so I'm totally going to give it a chance. I don't know. I still put this in the category of things like Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, but with aliens and Footloose, and what else? Edge of 17, but with aliens and Footloose. Like they're all kind of in that category for me. There's a spectrum, but it's not a very wide one. So I'm excited about it. I think it looks charming. When does it hit? Did you say already?
Yes, it hits Japan on December 1st.
That's it? That's the only one?
That's the only thing I can find on this. So I know in September it got picked up by A24. So I don't know. Based on the comments that I'm seeing, it's been getting it had some mixed reviews. So maybe there's questions of whether this is going to get a theatrical release or it's going to go straight to video. I don't know, but I'm assuming A24 is maybe trying to figure out what's the best plan of attack for getting this out there, because it is it's a quirky little film from the look of it.
Okay, my trailer is oh geez,
what did you do?
This is the inner child went back under the stairs.
Yes,
because this is a film that I'm just going to say exists. It's a big budget Keanu Reeves film that looks like it should have been on Black Mirror, but they threw too much money at it and 19 producers. Like, that's too many people producing a movie. It's way too many. And one of them is Lorenzo de Bonaventura. And so that can't be good.
So Pete, ping, ping. And there's 2 stars already just went away before I started watching this. I haven't seen the film and it's already.
Yeah. And so I picked the trailer for Replicas because I really love the story. And this is a story that should be on Black Mirror, and they should take some money away from it, because I think that if they do that, it becomes something that has a little bit more heart to it. It reminds me of, it's a story of Keanu Reeves. He loses his family in an accident. He happens to be a brain doctor of the future, and he invents a brain, and he downloads his family's consciousness into these new brains and recreates his family. So we've seen this story before in other iterations, and this is a replica. Replicas is a replica of a lot of movies that play in this sort of sci-fi universe, but. I'm a fan of these stories, and so I picked this trailer mostly just to note it exists, and because Checo Variz is the Peruvian cinematographer who is behind the camera on some of my very favorite episodes of shows like The Strain, and so he's just a really intense camera, and I love that, and I feel like this could be, even if it's absent of soul and heart. And falls more in alignment with, Transformers. Thank you, Lorenzo. I still think it might be an entertaining watch. And the thing makes me nervous. They've got the trailer out. There are no release dates anywhere, as far as I can tell.
And it tries to grab you from the producer of Passengers. Right?
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah,
that's not a real strong selling point for me because.
But you know what's interesting? It sort of is. Unfortunately, I can't watch Passengers without recutting it in my head every time.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. There's an interesting story to this. I look at this and say, oh, this looks like this was this nice little sci-fi short story out of some anthology somewhere. And they've tried to make it into a film and somehow just disconnected with what the story was trying to say and have tried to make it about something else. Because I see there's little pieces of interesting story and ideas here, but the execution of it, I know this is going to be something I'll probably watch on Netflix just one late Friday night where I'm like, yeah, it's Keanu Reeves. It can't be all that bad, right?
But 19 producers.
Yeah, I know.
I think the story it's one of those, like you said, it looks like it's got an interesting story. It's something that I would be interested in. Is this the package for it? I'm not quite sure. It's got a lot of things going for it, so it could be more fun than we'd expect. But with replicas, what I think is interesting about it is that there are these sci-fi films that sometimes can surprise you. This is one of those where, because Ex Machina, I watched that trailer, I'm like, well, it looks interesting. I wasn't sure if I'd want to see it or not. I mean, this could be one of those. Who knows? I'm not quite sure. I think it's far enough in advance where I don't know. But I will say, like you, the thing that gets me the most worried about this is looking at some of the details about kind of who's involved and everything. Not so much the people specifically, but when the trailer started. And it was a distributor I've never heard of, Entertainment Studios, as the distributor of this. I'm like, who are these people? That instantly, unfortunately, kind of put me off because I'm like, well, it's not even like a major distributor. This is going to end up being like a minor sort of film. So that it's just one of those weird little things that already kind of told me, I want this to be good, but maybe it's not going to be as good as I want it to be.
Yep. I wish I had release dates again. No release dates on this one. It's a roll.
Well, I think the trailer says, doesn't say something like coming everywhere in
2018. Yeah. There you mark it down. Begin watching the calendar January 1st, and don't stop until December 31st.
Pete has his stars saved up for this one at the beginning of 2018. Now you forgot to put a trigger warning on this if the things poking eyeballs in Star Trek First Contact bothered you. It looks like there's a whole lot of needles poking eyeballs in this movie. So,
yes, that was a tough one. I did not like that. I'm not a fan. There you go, replicas. Okay, with that, gentlemen, let's talk twins.
Okay.
Let's do it.
I'm going to...
I believe, you called first.
He just gets to do all three of his because...
Well, there's a stand... standing
and then
first.
the show's over.
Standing first. It's really not me going first. It's Steve can't go first. That's actually the rule. There's nuance. And I'm going to start because I can't believe I had forgotten this movie exists, and it only came out in 2009. Oh, we should talk about what is it that we're talking about today? What is the list, Andy?
Well, in honor of Star Trek Nemesis, we thought it'd be fun to do movies that have one actor playing like twins, basically playing two parts, and seeing how that worked. Even though in our film it doesn't have two right. Patrick Stewarts,
notable for having not that happen in it. Okay, so but
it was really the two Datas, I guess. There you go.
You're right. My two Datas. Saved. My two Datas was a short by Lorenzo de Bonaventura. My number 3 pick is one that just gives me continuous chuckles. Came out in 2009. Yes, Ed Norton plays Bill and Brady Kincaid. Why would you want it to look like a hate crime? So it don't look like a drug crime. Yes, it's Leaves of Grass. Tim Blake Nelson's directed, stars Kerry Russell, Richard Dreyfuss, Susan Sarandon. If you haven't seen this movie, you must see this movie. It is one of Edward Norton's best. I laugh all the way through. Where do you guys stand on Leaves of Grass? Really? These are all people you love, guys. You love these people.
I know.
Yes.
Leaves of Grass.
I have to look the movie up on IMDb because I don't even know if I've heard of that.
I remember it now that you mentioned it, and yes, these are people I love, and these are people I love that have sometimes made bad choices as well. So
yes, they have. This falls in the IMDb star window, right? It's on the low end, but it falls inside the window. If it's over 6 stars. Then you know that there's a chance you will like it. If it's below 6 stars, then there's, don't waste your time. But Leaves of Grass, I think there is an audience in which I sit. Okay.
See, I think it was really written and directed by Tim Blake Nelson. And sometimes I look at those projects and say, okay, this person has this little project. Is there enough, I guess, editorial around that person to help them make this a good film? Or is it just like, oh, here, go run with this, and there's nobody there to really help guide this along? It's just sort of this free-for-all of like, I'm writing and directing, I'm going to do it however I want. And that's not always the best way to make a film. You need those voices to help moderate. And I guess that was my concern of like, Tim Blake Nelson wants to make this movie and he's going to make it how he wants it. So I'll put it on my list to see.
I find it, I know how you feel about most of the things that I really like, Steve.
I'll start with 5 stars and we'll see where we end up.
That's right. Andy, you haven't seen it either? I can't believe it.
I haven't seen it. No, I don't think I heard. I feel like I vaguely remember hearing about this movie, but it's one of those ones that I think it just disappeared from my consciousness too quickly, and I haven't thought about since it must have come out. So yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's
I didn't even know that Edward Norton played twins in it. So there you go.
I don't know if it's telling, but I actually did see it, really liked it, and then forgot about it. So that's it took this list to remind me that this movie is really funny. Yes. Yes. All right. Steve, go ahead.
Okay.
We'll make
this
Andy
is
go
tough
last.
because I'm trying to think about what do I do first so that I'm not setting up for you guys to take my other picks later on. Just
as you should.
Oh yeah.
I know, that's become the challenge.
I'm going to go in chronological order. So I'm going to go with the one farthest back. So this is, I think, probably my early introduction to Woody Allen. So I'm talking about Purple Rose of Cairo, where we have the film characters come out of the movie. So we have Jeff Daniels playing 2 roles where he's the actor and then the character that has come out of the film to romance Mia Farrow. So we've got an interesting part where we've got the same actor playing himself and then the character that he portrayed in the movie. So that's sort of where my twinsies come from, where we've got the same actor sort of in a twist. So I'm perhaps bending the rules a little bit, but
I'd say
yes,
they're not even related.
They have the same fingerprints. That's the whole problem. This character's out there running around with his fingerprints. He could be causing crimes, and he's going to be on the hook for that.
Oh, that's funny.
What?
That's awesome.
I've never seen that.
I have never seen it either.
This one is so good.
Really?
Yes, it has so much to say about entertainment and film because the whole setup is it's you've got a movie going, and I think this is like in the 20s or 30s, and the actor steps out of the film, and the rest of the movie, all the other characters are left there on the screen, and the projector is running, and they're just sitting there waiting. The story can't move on because the main character has left. and is out in the crowd, out in the city. And so people come to see the movie and they sit there and they're commenting about, well, we don't want to just sit here watching these people sit around and talk. Where's the action? Where's the story? This is really boring just sitting around watching people talk to each other. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes, so
I
you need
love
to
the
check
concept.
this out. Yes. I'm
And I know Andy's such a fan of Woody Allen. I can't believe he hasn't captured the complete catalog.
I am not a big Woody Allen fan. This was one that it just was an interesting concept. And I think it went beyond what I usually see of Woody Allen, because it did sort of have something to say about movies and entertainment and just the general conceit of the whole thing of a character stepping out of film. Something that I think was interesting to explore.
Well, it sounds like an interesting one to check out one of these days.
Is it above or below Leaves of Grass, Andy?
I will probably watch this first rather than Leaves of Grass.
Oh, killing me.
Sorry.
All right, what's your number 3?
My number 3, I'm like you guys. I'm like, which one should I do first? I don't want any of these to be taken away. I'm going to go with one that made me laugh a lot. I haven't gone back to revisit this movie since it came out, but man, did I have a good time watching it back in 1999. That's right. I'm talking about Frank Oz's film Bowfinger with Steve Martin and Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy doing one of his fantastic bits of playing multiple roles. And in this time, he's playing his own brother. He's playing the movie star Kit Ramsey. And then he's playing his slightly less awesome brother, Jiff. And watching Steve Martin as the most inept filmmaker ever, Bowfinger, trying to make this movie, pretending like Kit is in it and filming these scenes, and then having his brother Jiff fill in for scenes where he really needs him to be there. It's just one of the funniest things ever. And I really had a lot of fun watching this movie. I hope it's as good as I remember, because I haven't watched it in so long.
It is.
But I had such a good time. And Eddie Murphy really, I mean, it's easy to dismiss a lot of his movies because they tend to just be so bad. But I will say he is a person who really knows how to play multiple roles well. I mean, we've talked about it on the show with Coming to America. And while we didn't end up loving that movie as much as we remembered, it was still so fun seeing him play so many different roles and do it so well. So that's this one. I just love the bit of Kit and Jiff. And I still always say, KIT, keep it together, keep it together. So there you go.
That's good, Andy. That's good. I didn't connect with Bowfinger the way you did. I haven't, and therefore I haven't revisited it. So maybe I should. Maybe I should.
Well, I think there's something to be said. I think there's an insidery aspect to this of working on an independent film or something, of just the struggles and the creative problem solving that Bowfinger comes up with for some of his things that I found hysterical. When you've got his Hispanic film crew and the guy's got the we'll work for food sign and they're ready to shoot. So then he flips it around. So it's, bouncing light to illuminate the shot, the strapping the heels onto the dog in the parking garage. And just so many great things. I can't believe this one didn't come to mind, because Andy, you need to visit this again. It's so much fun. It holds.
I will. I'll definitely have to.
Yes.
Okay. My next pick is a flagrant cheat. And I say it with no regrets. I am talking about, of course, Jack Palance, who plays both Curly and Duke Washburn in separate movies. City Slickers and City Slickers 2, The Legend of Curly's Gold. Yes, I know they're not in the same movie, but I freaking love Jack Palance. And so I could not pass up a chance to shoehorn in a second movie, including a twin. And with that, I feel like I win.
It's pretty funny. I mean, it would have been better if he was in the movie as both brothers.
If there was even a flashback, I can't quite remember City Slickers 2. I feel like maybe in the movie as it plays in my head, there must be a flashback. So that has to count, right? That has to count.
Sure.
If you think about it hard enough, eventually it'll have a flashback for you too.
That was one of those pairings that City Slickers worked so well, and I felt like Curly died, and it was really tragic, and it hit home, and I really thought that was a very powerful movie. And the second one for me just felt like they were trying to do everything they could to recreate what all the magic from the first one, and it didn't work for me.
Yeah, no, it wasn't as good.
Even having Jack come back as his own brother didn't work, but I'll still let it slide, I guess. What'd you think? Steve, did you like these ones?
I think I saw each of them once, 20 odd years ago when they first came out on video, each one. And they never stuck with me. I vaguely remember them, but I couldn't tell you. I would give Pete a pass on this because I have no idea. He could have played both brothers in the movie, and the story could have been about the brothers fighting. I don't even remember what the stories are about. So the
first one is so good.
Yes.
It's definitely worth revisiting.
Okay.
I'll watch Bowfinger again. You watch City Slickers again.
And everybody should watch Leaves of Grass, dummies.
Sure.
All right. Next pick. Steve, is that you?
Yes, that is.
Is it your turn?
Yeah. Yes. So when I first had to think about this list, the first thing that came to mind was, okay, I got to get into the 90s because that's when technology was starting to get to the point where we could put the actor in a scene facing themselves, and it sort of worked. And so one of the ones that first came to mind, this is, and I did get some assistance from my wife on this one because I was like, there's a lot of them, and I'm struggling to. I see the poor visual effect in my mind, and she's like, "Oh, the one with the creepy twin gynecologists." Yes, Dead Ringers.
Dang it,
man!
Because you've got, and she said, "Well, the movie's most memorable, for the weird sort of twin scenes, but then the beautiful design on his weird instruments. Those are the things I remember most about this movie." Dead Ringers, Jeremy Irons, and Jeremy Irons as twin creeps.
Beverly and Elliot Mantle.
Although it's the 80s.
Is it
1980s.
Is it the 80s?
Yeah.
Oh, late 80s. Okay.
I love this movie, and it was definitely going to be my number one, but I guess not now.
Oh, okay.
No, it's a fantastic movie. A solid choice with great work. Cronenberg did some really solid work with his the camera in this to kind of create the fantastic scenes pairing the twins, which is a big challenge, and it's nice to see the evolution of that over time, especially in scenes like in this one where they spend so much time on screen together.
Yeah, I'm pretty disappointed about that too, Steve. I don't know how you didn't even get to go first and you trumped me.
This is a challenging list. I will say, going back through the films we've talked about, Pete, we actually have a good number of ones that I wanted
me too.
include that we've talked about on the show.
Adaptation with Nicolas Cage, The Prestige with Christian Bale, Social Network, Armie Hammer. Come on. What did I miss one?
Moon.
Oh,
Moon.
Crying out loud.
Joe versus the Volcano with Meg Ryan playing.
Yeah, there you go.
They were. It's just a list was full of them. Yeah.
There's
that's
a lot.
A great pick. What's your what are you going to do now, Andy?
Well, I'm going to do. What am I going to do? I'm just looking. Which one should I do? I'm going to go with. You never see these two together in the film, but Paul Dano plays twin brothers in the fantastic There Will Be Blood, one of Paul Thomas Anderson's most brilliant films. Weirdly, I didn't like it the first time I saw it, and then I revisited it several times, and I like it more and more every time I see it. And Paul Dano is so good as just this incredible reverend who kind of comes through and takes up with Daniel Plainview, Daniel Day-Lewis's character, and just really interesting scenes together. I love what they do. But he also plays his brother, and he comes through. So he's Paul and Eli Sunday as two separate characters in this film. And they both end up having some scenes with Daniel Plainview. Just a fantastic film. Different brothers, which I liked, despite their obviously their twin look and everything, but just a fantastic film and well worth checking out. So didn't have to deal with the crazy complicated camera work to get it done, but still brilliant film.
That's a good pick. That's one of those movies I enjoyed and only watched once. I'm not. It's not.
It's
not
worth
one that
revisiting.
Puts me in the spirit.
It
Yeah.
is. It is worth revisiting.
It's a long one, but definitely worth it.
My number one pick now, Steve, is the 2000 film Legend. And again, in a nod to last week's movie, this is Tom Hardy playing Reggie and Ronnie Cray, the identical twin gangsters who terrorized London in the 1960s. Have you guys seen this one?
Isn't that 2015?
Yes.
You said 2000.
Well, I didn't mean to.
That made it really confusing.
I did not mean to say that, Andy.
There was a silent S, the 2000.
Eagle ear, Andy.
I didn't see this one.
No.
I thought it looked interesting, but I missed it. It was good.
It was very good and totally worth seeing. It is, I was such a fan of LA Confidential, and I see this very much as the spiritual sequel to LA Confidential. It's written by Brian Helgeland, and in this case, also directed by Brian Helgeland. And so I think it's absolutely worth seeing. It's much better than its reputation allows, and the twin work is excellent. You don't give it a second thought. Of course, they're identical twins. It was wonderful. It was as good as Armie Hammer in Social Network. Like there was just never a question.
Oh, okay.
It was fantastic. Totally worth seeing. Legend 2015.
Yeah,
Awesome.
another one on
in
my
the
list.
in the 2000s.
No, that's one I've been wanting to get around to it because I do enjoy Tom Hardy's work and Brian Helgeland. I think, it's just one that came and went really fast, or there was a lot of other things to see. But one I'm definitely looking forward to exploring.
Totally worth it. All right, what's your last pick, Steve?
Okay, it ties into this weekend. It does because we've got a big movie this weekend, Blade Runner, that we're going to be talking about on the film board, and so I'm going to look at that director. And I know this is a film that Andy does not enjoy, but I'm talking about Enemy with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, interesting.
Which is a film that is going to twist around your brain a lot, but you've got Jake Gyllenhaal playing a guy who discovers that he has a twin that's an actor in films, and so he tries to track down this twin, but that's just really sort of this surface level story. There's a lot more going on with him and his wife and just all kinds of crazy things with spiders. It's a film that I enjoyed, and I think there's a lot to pull apart and unravel in this film, and who these twins are, their relationships. Are they two parts of the same person? There's so much going on. It's just one of those films that I enjoy because it's something that gives you you need time to think about and digest what you just saw. Because in the final scene of this, it just caught me off guard, and I thought, what just happened? So that's what I'm bringing to the table from Denis. One of my favorite filmmakers.
Andy, you didn't like this one?
It's an interesting movie. It really just kind of it was one of those ones where I watched it. I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch that again. It just kind of was not. I guess I didn't know what to expect. It was just a really kind of mind trip of a movie. I just couldn't get into it at all. But I did find it affecting, and it's certainly something that I've thought about a number of times since. I'm with you, although I'm more on the fence of I'd revisit this movie. I think it was great, mostly because I just love Gyllenhaal. I think he did a great job. Have you guys seen Aftermath, the Schwarzenegger airplane? It was written by Javier Galón, who wrote Enemy, and I haven't seen it either, but I liked Enemies. I like the script enough that it makes me want to check out more of this of Javier's work. Interesting stuff. All right, Andy, close it up. Well, for my closing film, I'm going to pick the one that I first saw where I first got to see an actor or an actress in this case working on screen opposite themselves, and it was fun to watch at the time, and I think it still stands the test of time as a great example of filmmakers using their technology to kind of create this effect. And it is, of course, the wonderful Parent Trap that Walt Disney did back in 1961. I had so much fun watching this as a kid with Haley Mills playing the two, separated twin sisters without realizing that they were sisters, and then trying to get their parents back together. It was just such a kind of just a cute film and a lot of fun as a kid. I haven't revisited it in a very long time, but I do remember liking it quite a bit. But Haley Mills did a great job on screen of playing the two sisters, and differently enough, which I thought was nice. And then, of course, with their parents, Brian Keith and Maureen O'Hara, that they're trying to get back together. So a lot of fun, but that's the number one film for me.
That's
awesome.
A great film.
I'm so glad you picked that's that. A great one.
Yeah.
I sort of felt like this should be like the Parent Trap list, because I mean, I think that's the one that really established this is something you could do. And then I, was familiar with that. And then with my kids, they sort of, I had to balance out the Lindsay Lohan version with this one. So, because there was that modern update, I think that, it was a nice way to modernize that. But I think the original does still stand the test of time. And it was one of my backups, along with a couple other, sort of interesting. I had a lot more films than I thought I was going to have on this list. I struggled last week, and this week I thought it was going to be tough, and I found a whole lot more. So I had plenty of backups just in case. So,
totally. Yeah. The march of technology is a funny thing in this. My kids, it was several years ago, started watching Liv and Maddie. The Disney show. Have you guys heard of this? Uh-huh. Dove Cameron plays twins, and I sat down and I watched that show with my kids, and as we're sort of talking about that, and they're just kind of taking it, for granted. And I can't, every time I see it, at like 5 minutes in, I look at, you guys know how incredibly hard this is to do? Like, this is amazing. This is amazing. You are partaking in the miracle of flight. That is what is happening here with like motion control and stand-ins, and they do everything on the show. And this is a 22-minute sitcom. Like, we have come a long way since 1961 that we're able to do this kind of quality work on TV just every week now. Like, that is an amazing thing and that's why, like, you still have to step back. Andy, you made the point in the movie last week that when they do that over the top shot, that rotating shot over Data and before, that's amazing that we can't figure out where they're cutting away. That's mind-blowingly cool. So celebrate that, even if you don't like the movie. It's amazing.
Hear, hear.
Hallelujah.
And it's a technology that's, I mean, even before the Parent Trap, I mean, back to, I'm sure it's even before this, but Danny Kaye did a musical in 1945 where he plays twins on screen. So this has been something that filmmakers have been trying to do for quite a while. And it's just amazing how they get better and better and better and better at it. To the point, like you said, that it's just a casual thing on sitcoms that you don't even notice anymore. It's pretty amazing. You don't even notice.
It's crazy. It's just crazy. That's fantastic. Okay, so this week, Andy, we're doing Star Trek, the J.J. Abrams reboot, and so we need to come up with something awesome for next week's list. Do you guys have any ideas?
Well, I think I casually threw out the idea a while ago that, hey, we should do one with actors playing, the same roles or kind of rebooted roles. I don't know if that's something we still want to consider. What do you guys think?
Spoiling Star Trek.
Spoiler alert.
Every character in this movie is rebooted, everybody. I'm sorry.
So wait, so you've got, I'm trying to piece this together. So that's different from just movies that are reboots of franchises. We're talking about.
Well, it doesn't have to be a reboot. I mean, you had a new James Bond.
So we're talking about
5 films.
We're talking about
Sherlock Holmes.
Okay, so different actors playing
an actor. Different actor coming in to play a different role. Yeah, same character. Yeah.
Is there a rule that, Andy, that is going to limit some of the more obvious choices, or is this going to be just another race to number ones?
I don't know. Should there be a rule to limit it?
It is pretty broad, so that may reduce the competition.
Because all of us really could pick Star Trek. Uhura, Chekhov, Kirk, Spock.
Actors, I don't think we're going for actors. A whole film, yeah.
Is it a film, or is it we talk about two? Like, okay, here's the two, and here's the two actors that played the same role, and we're talking about that.
I think we would skip the first ones. You'd have to go for the rebooted version of that character.
Yeah, because we can't.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
It's like the soap opera where it's like, today, the character of John will be played.
Today, the role of Pete will be played by Tommy Handsome. Okay. Boop,
Oh,
boop, boop.
man.
I'm pushing the buttons. So, okay.
Oh no.
Ooh.
All right. I think that's, yeah. All right. Yeah. We'll see what we get out of that. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that have,
I think it could be interesting.
I
Yeah.
think the challenge will be to find something interesting and unique because there are a lot of, now we've got lots of franchises that have been rebooted. We've got stories that have been told over and over again. Yeah, I think we can find some interesting ways to talk about that.
I think so too.
All right.
Jake Lloyd.
See, because we can't.
Well,
otherwise, you get into time.
I hadn't thought
We're
about
not going to
that.
do time
but-
travel again because we've got. I mean, that's the other aspect of that story. And then you have. I mean, the other sort of spoiler is where you've got two actors playing the same character in the same movie.
Well, that's more the same thing we just had with Picard being played by the two characters in this film.
Basically,
So no time
basically,
travel?
we're saying the Star Trek reboot did nothing original because everything that we're talking about that movie did, the previous
It's been done
time
before.
travel, two actors playing the same character.
Yep, the Romulans, the
Wow, you guys have a
planets being destroyed. They basically took a bunch of pieces from the previous 10 films, wrapped it all up in a pretty bow.
So what we're really saying is this next list is actors playing rebooted roles of themselves in J.J. Abrams movies that are wholly unoriginal.
wow.
Is that what we're doing? I may have missed a memo.
Okay.
You might
I
have
think
missed something.
This
but-
was good.
But run with that.
I think
Pete.
we're good.
Yeah.
I think we're good. I think we can do this. And I know that we should challenge ourselves not to do the movies we've just been talking about.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. All right, here we go. That's it. Hey, thank you, everybody, for downloading and listening to this show. Because if you're downloading and listening to this show, it means you are a Patreon subscriber at patreon.com/thenextreel. Thank you so much for helping us continue to do this every single week. This week on the show, Andy, where are we in our Star Trek series?
We are going to be, well, as we just said, we're talking about number 11, which is J.J. Abrams. I don't even know if you want to call it a reboot, but it's kind of a rebirth of Star Trek.
Ooh, a rebirth. Speaking of rebirth. Steve, this week on the film board.
Rebirth.
Yeah, you're the teaser.
How am I rebirthing anything? Oh, because of Blade Runner 2049 is a rebirth. I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I can't. I don't even know. I don't even know what it's about. I haven't seen any of the trailers or anything. I did watch the 3 shorts, which was fun. So yeah, I'm heading out later this afternoon to check out Blade Runner. I am trying to like suppress my inner child in so many ways because I just rewatched. Actually, no, I watched for the first time the Blade Runner, the final cut, Ridley Scott's definitive version, which I had not seen before. I'd seen the other original theatrical release with all the voiceover. So I'm really excited about seeing that version. I really enjoyed it. I've got one of my favorite filmmakers directing this. So I'm trying to just not have such high expectations. So it's a challenge. So I'm eager to talk. And I'm sure Andy's just biting his tongue right now because I think he saw it last night.
I will say nothing.
Yeah, see, exactly.
Oh, I hate that so much. I'm leaving right after I finish editing this. I'm going to go
I've
see it
got
this
7
morning,
stars
and so
to start
I can't
with, so
wait.
we'll go from there.
That means I can start at 3 and know that I can make up the difference with Steve. Okay. This is great. Everybody, thank you for downloading and listening. Steve, Andy, always a pleasure. Happy Saturday matinee, gents.
Happy Saturday.
Yes.
Talk to you later.
Ciao.
Yeah.